And thanks so much for coming to day 2 of NFT Fest. Hope you're having a great time. My name's Dan, and this is Renae. Renae's the community manager at BFF. Comes with a whole wealth of experience in Web 2 community building, Web 3 community building roles. And also Alan from NFTeams, product fans in the audience, which is great. First public speaking gig for Alan. So I've assured Alan you'll be a friendly crowd. That comes with us with great experience in product management and project management for over sort of 20 years. Emma from PUML is supposed to be with us. She'll probably crash in at some point in time, which will be great as well. But really useful conversation, I think, given that all of us probably are part of some sort of NFT community. Which probably brings me, Renae, to the first question today for us. You know, this whole Web3 movement and ethos is around co-creation rather than just customer. And really keen to understand how in your world you're creating this environment for collaboration, to make sure a community's voice is heard, to really create that sense of togetherness, particularly through some tumultuous markets at the moment. How do you do it?
Yeah. Hello. Good?
Good, yeah.
Cool. So my background is Web 2 scaling, support and communities, and it's very different to Web 3. So in those environments, it's more about communities coming to you because they want support and the brand is building and then servicing the community. But I think Web 3 requires more co-creation, and that's what we're really passionate about at BFF. We do a lot of surveys and just listening to our community, and I think some of the best things that have come out of BFF have come out really organically. Like, we had an event in Miami a few weeks ago and we didn't have a tote bag design. We have clubs which are like more niches within our community. So we put it out to the community last minute and we said, hey, we're looking for a bag design. And we were kind of expecting crickets. It was last minute and we had like 20 people come through. They were doing proofs of the artwork, what it would look like, giving each other feedback, and that's the kind of thing that I think communities are built on in Web3, and something that we're really doubling down on now is that co-creation and allowing the community to direct the brand as well.
Yeah, because I think, you know, if you think back to that sort of bull phase of the market, it was not uncommon to see 5 posts a day of, like, I've just joined the strongest community, you know, like, it's the best place ever, and 95% of those projects and people have probably just left this place. So I guess my first question is the strength of a community tied to floor price? And, you know, how does community engagement strategies differ in a bull market versus a bear market?
Yeah, so I think when we launched...
We found Emma.
Yes.
Hello, Emma. Welcome.
Hey, sorry guys. I totally thought it was at 11:30. I apologise. I'm on Web3 time, Brisbane time apparently still. So, but no, thank you so much for having me. Sorry to interrupt.
That's right. The question was, we launched in the peak of the market, and we had so many people who joined our community, and they were interested in one thing, which was the floor price go up. Obviously not everybody, but a large percentage of people, and I think that's the uncomfortable truth in a lot of projects at that time. And what we've seen now as we go into the bear market is we've kind of have more people join our community who are interested in the long-term vision. And to me, that's really exciting, because I think that's when you can start to build an actual community, when you have values and people who want to be there for the long term and are interested in the brand. So we've definitely seen engagement drop, but it's more deep and it's more meaningful now.
What about you, Alan? What's differed in terms of the bear market and the bull market for NFTeams?
Sorry, can you hear me? For us, I guess we've always seen volatility. We've always certified volatility of crypto. Part of our strategic plan earlier on was really just to set ourselves up in regards to giving us enough time and funding to execute what we can do. Steve runs a really tight ship, and we basically our setup is basically a lean startup setup, and we're really respectful of the community fund, and also on sustainability as well in regards to increasing our runway. As I said, we in regards to so we're cautious of our funding. So one of the first things that we've done was hedging a portion of our community fund to USDC. So so which ensured us that we can pay our IRL people, subcontractors. And also retention and engagement was also of importance. So for us, we wanted to lengthen the opportunity there, and 50% of our actual minting value at 400 is committed to community funding, which enables us to give prizes away in competitions that we've created, tipping comps, Tournament 1 and Tournament 2, which is like a lottery competition, and that gives us around 3 or 4 years in regards to prize pool to the people, and also about 2 to 3 years of project funding as well. That's including our subcontractors, as we said. So,
yeah, cool. And yesterday we heard Betty, for anyone in the session, talk about the importance of brand and value-led brands, particularly in a bear market where it becomes a little harder, I suppose, to pick a winner if that's what you're in for, but more about where is it that I find myself or find my home in the Web3 space, and certainly brands help communicate whether or not you're in the right spot in terms of the people around you. And really interested in your thoughts on this, Emma, in terms of PUML and how you're building a brand now to attract the right people or a certain audience to what it is you're doing. Can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of brand, particularly in a bear?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, for us, obviously, we're a little bit different in the way that 99 or 98% of our users are actually Web 2, and then the 1 to 2% is Web 3. So we just use Web3 technology, but essentially have a Web2 community for the most part. So we kind of do things a little bit differently. And I think that we as Web3 people kind of stick with our platforms and the things that we're doing in echo chamber marketing a little bit too much. So sort of spreading out and getting back into reality and bringing real use cases back to people is definitely something that I see sort of pushing forward the future and of Web3 and the future of brands and branding. So sort of taking a step back, is this actually viable? Does this really improve the world around me? And then sort of taking that into the real world, I think is actually really what we need to do now moving forward. We can't be sitting stuck on Twitter because we just keep putting in this loop of we're just in the same room all together, right? We need to take it out and take it out into the world. And that's what pushes forward brand, and that's what actually invades the whole space.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about, the Web 2 world bridging over to Web 3? Because we see this tidal wave of, brands coming into the space. What is it that they'll need to consider in terms of the Web 3 sort of community ecosystem? You've obviously been one of those companies that sort of started Web 2 but are now into Web 3, and there's some considerations that need to happen, I suppose, and as you said, in terms of dealing with or building community in each of those worlds. But what is it that these brands will need to consider coming in to be successful?
I actually think it's going to be a little bit of what are we going to have to consider to interface with the brands, to be honest with you. But it's going to be a bit of a two-way street, right? We're going to have to really fight to keep our DGen culture, to be honest with you. If we want to keep that, we have to fight for it, and we have to sort of stick up to our values, and we have to do that by showcasing great products that actually build towards what we wanted to build as a future. But it is going to be a race, and we are, the underdogs. We don't have the, the VC funding and the backing of, companies like Disney or whatever. But yeah, we really have to sort of see what we can do and mesh in together. And I think it's important to, not, I guess, discount the Web2 brands, but try and sort of work with them and bring Web3 into your own workplace, into your own life, and sort of really hold on to and retain that DGen culture and sort of spread it around like rice in the field. So that's what I would suggest is really, stick it to yourself, showcase the type of person that you want to be, and just really have a voice and be a voice for the space. Everyone in this room can be and should be a voice for the space, essentially. So.
And Renae, how's BFF thinking about sort of that new wave of onboarding? It's going to probably come from outside the space, and so what are you doing as a community manager now to sort of create an environment that's welcoming, or even strategically looking outside around what are the strategies that are going to bring people in and also select BFF as their sort of home?
Yeah, for sure. So BFF has always been an onboarding brand. That's our mission, is to get more women and non-binary people into the space. And to do that, we have gone outside of Discord and Twitter because I don't think people onboarding are on those platforms yet. So we did a YouTube live to launch. We have SMS, we have email, we have Instagram, we have TikTok. So for us, it is about being omni-channel and adding more, I'd say, like texture to the conversation around crypto, because I think most people see the mainstream news, but they don't see how the technology is being used for good. And we found within our community, those conversations are the ones that really get people excited and onboarded. So I think it is about different voices in the space and different platforms.
You mentioned Discord, and I think it's a common thought to associate community in Web3 with Discord. So does community in Web3 equal or not equal Discord? And for a group of people so concerned about decentralisation, we seem to be overly reliant on a centralised platform. So a few questions here. Do we have a platform risk if Discord was to go, and what's that mean for your community strategies? And does it equal community? Renae?
Yeah, so I think that's a really interesting question, and when I first started, I would like nothing more than to not use Discord, because I know as a user I entered it and I was like, what is this place? And I think I bounced pretty soon after. But I've grown to love it, and I feel like we've duct taped it together to a point where it feels like a pretty good experience for the user. They're introducing a lot more features, which will be great. I think they've got a long way to go for it to be a great user experience. But I do think a community does need a common ground to meet on. So in the past that might have been Facebook groups, and I think in Web3 it is Discord for now, but I think there's definitely room to innovate and find a better solution. And I think that's also one of the reasons why we're across so many platforms, is to reduce the platform risk, so we can still communicate to our holders via email, or if anything was to happen to Discord.
How are you thinking about that, Emma?
I love the idea of having like a town hall as a community, but really empowering people to create their own little sub-communities. So you can kind of, like, if you think of it as Reddit, like you have the main page and then you have sort of subreddits and sort of subgroups of people, and empowering people to create those groups within your community would really sort of take it beyond just yourself as a brand. I think that really increases sort of the brand power, the stickability, and sort of less ties you down to the platforms that you're on and more the connections that you have, and people uniting together as a commonality in small groups and teams, but under your brand. That's community, not Discord, right, in my opinion. So we really should empower people to create their own micro communities that's sort of funded and aligned with the brand, and push that out essentially and market that. I think that's really sort of how to move that forward and sort of step away from the platforms. But yeah, it is very interesting. Sort of we are centralized, whether we like it or not. We need the internet to use blockchain. We need, social media to talk to each other these days. So it's about how can we make sure that that's not just it. So.
Cool. And Renae, you mentioned before we jump up on stage that Discord ping causes you a little bit of PTSD these days. And I really don't envy community managers. It seems like founders might stick you strategically between themselves and the community sometimes, for better or worse. And so really interested to hear your thoughts on community managers, mental health, how you're sort of managing that. I know your project's very supportive of all things in that space, but personally, if you're happy to share some of your thoughts in that world. And then just what's the role of founders in a bear market? You could sort of rely on them being a little quiet in the bull, and there was always a bit of mystery to potentially what they were building through that stage. But it certainly seems the sentiment in market has shifted a little bit around people wanting to hear what the hell's going on from their project, particularly in a time when the floor price is just going down. So how do you deal with mental health, Discord as a community manager, and how can founders support you through this stage, do you think?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the first thing is having a great team, and at BFF we have an amazing team. Melby is back there today, she's a superstar. So I think it's about getting the right people around you first and foremost, and then also taking a break. So I work, and then when I don't work, I switch off and I do the things that I need to do to fill my cup up, so that when I come back I'm the best person I can be within Discord and within our team. And I think that's really important, and something that I encourage our whole team to really do, because otherwise, if you're on Discord for many hours, you can just get drained and you're not the best representation of the brand. So that's really important first. And then I think the founder's role in this next phase is to start thinking about ways that they can build sustainable businesses. We've seen a lot of roadmaps and a lot of promises, and now it's time within the bear market to really double down and start to build that and make sure the team has the resources to follow through on that, and make sure it is something that the community itself is passionate about. And I think it's easier in a bear market to get a feel for what the community does want, what they're excited about, and start to double down on that. So I think founders have to be a bit more forward-facing in terms of the community and be more communicative in this period. And then also, just double down and start to build.
You mentioned the need, particularly now, for potentially some alternative revenue streams other than relying on royalties. And I know NFTeams are doing some interesting things in that space, Alan. Can you talk us through, how you approach, your revenue strategy and diversification some of that away from just releasing another drop or relying on royalties?
As mentioned before, we see ourselves as a lean startup, and obviously revenue streams is definitely a focal point. And rather than depending on annual wins and volatility of crypto, we've looked at other revenue streams. We've sold 30k worth of merchandise. We've got over 6 figures of jersey and tournament sponsorships from other companies that want to get into the space and want to get into our community. We're potentially looking at talking to VCs in regards to outside investments. We've got a free jersey mint coming up, but also there is an up and coming players mint. But we are currently reviewing our strategies in regards to how we're going to mint in the bear market, quantity, size, genesis, all that sort of stuff that we're looking at. So, these little figures do add up at the end and contributes to our resourcing, and also that's dependent on annual needs or things like that. So.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I think, Emma, PUML's a little bit of a different beast in the sense that it's not your typical NFT drop, but you are in the sort of the tokenomics space and recently entered sort of NFT drops, recently. How do you look at, revenue and your revenue raise strategy, and how's that sort of lay on top of community building?
Yeah, so as I sort of mentioned previously, we're kind of like 98%-ish probably Web 2. So we have a unique approach, and I think it's probably maybe not relevant to a lot of people in the room, but it may be in the future. So definitely what we've done is essentially had a Web 2 business model that's fully profitable. So we started off as a corporate wellbeing platform, and we have over 50 corporate clients, including Louis Vuitton, Western Union, Deloitte, etc., that pay us a monthly revenue for every employee that they have that uses our platform, and they get their own gated version of the app. So that's how we started, and we just moved into B2B2C, which is sort of the next phase, and adding further gamification through Web3 elements like NFTs, but it's not critical to our business, and our business isn't an NFT. So I think that's the difference. If your business is an NFT, probably not gonna succeed unless you're an artist and that's your work that you'll be presenting or something similar, right? If your business model is NFT, it's probably not going to work. You need to have some more substance behind it. You need to have some actually genuine runway, revenue plans, projects, and sort of something that you can add to provide value, not just extract value from the community.
Awesome. So I want to allow some time for some Q&A. And so does anyone have any questions they want to fire off at our awesome panel up here this morning? Anyone want that community building intel? Yeah, in the middle there.
For people who are interested in becoming more of a community, maybe team member, how would you recommend sort of going into that direction?
Yeah, I can take this one. So we have a number of moderators on our team, and I think it's really cool because they've all come from really different backgrounds. One was studying to be a zookeeper, one's a carer, builds tiny homes in the US, and I think community opens up the opportunity for anybody to join, and it's just about showing up, and for me it was showing up within our community and helping people before applying for the role. So that is a big element. And then also just attitude, just being able to show up and being able to handle, because as you mentioned before, sometimes it's hard when you have a whole community who don't like a decision you've made to go in there and to be able to handle it. So it's somebody who can be in those situations and do that with ease and do it with care and still end that and be like, whoa, that was a ride. I know Melby, we've had a lot of those days together. So for me, it's about attitude, it's about showing up, and it's about putting yourself out there and DMing people and finding the team that you want to work for.
I'm down the end. Yep.
How do you kind of, with the bear market at the moment, it can be a little hard to keep the community very positive and uplifted about your project or what you're working on. And oftentimes we sell them the dream, but how do you keep FUD down or like manage expectations for your individual communities?
I was going to say, within NFTeams, we've recently found a low budget way of getting people engaged and retained. Our community manager over there, Tiba, has done an absolutely great job developing our Discord economy, which is peanuts, which they can use, people in the community can use to claim merchandise, NFTeams, change their name to the NFTeams name, and so forth. And to earn these peanuts, we've got poker games, quiz trivia nights, tipping comps, and just being good community members. And it's to the whole community surprise, it's taken off really well, and as I said, it's been participated by quite a number of our community members. So shout out to Tiba. So who should have been here on this.
Distract them with peanuts, it sounds like. What about you, Emma? How do we keep the FUD down? How do we keep the expectations managed?
Yeah, look, I think it's really sort of falls back to communication of what you're doing, and everything, sort of every step of the way needs to be communicated out to the community correctly, essentially. And then having people and sort of leaders that are empowered within your community as well, to like ambassadors and things like that. So maybe not mods, but people that are happy to help and assist, and sort of empowering them to do that or rewarding them to do that. I really like gamification of, obviously we're really big on gamification of everything and movement, but gamification of rewards and engagement and things like that. It obviously seems to be the new wave at the moment, which is really cool with community. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, you need to make sure that as a team you're doing the right thing, communicating it out to people, and yeah, just essentially keeping on working in the background. So,
Renae, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, so I think when we hit the first bear market kind of downturn, we saw all of these community managers and all these communities going like, okay, we need game night, we need book club, and they were all doing the same kind of things. But I think we are competing with Netflix, with somebody's friends, with every other project in the space. So to be able to create deeper experiences for people where they actually want to show up and create enough value that they're excited to be there is what we're really focused on. So we've been building out a lot of clubs like entrepreneurs clubs, coders clubs, creative clubs, to create that deeper experience and give people something that they want to show up for and they're excited about. And that's worked for us so far, and we're still continuing on the journey. Yeah, it keeps changing.
I really like that. That's great. Getting deeper into it. You're right. You see the same like Rumble. If I see another Rumble game server, I'm gonna like. I don't care about the cucumber stuff. No offense to Not Your Bro guys if you see this, but stuff the cucumbers. But let's get into like deeper stuff that actually makes more. Let's do some stuff like those like coding camps and stuff like that. That actually pushes the space forward, and I think that people care a lot more about that. People who are here now actually care about the industry. Like, let's be honest, we're not here for money anymore. We actually care about the industry. There's no money. We're here because we actually genuinely care about the industry. So let's actually start making a conscious effort, everyone here, to do things that push the industry forward. So I think that's, if we can all walk away from that today and make an effort to do that, I think we've done a good job today.
And I think that's a perfect note to end on. You guys probably need an hour. Good luck in the Discord battlefield. And to everyone else, can you thank our panellists, Alan, Wong, Renae,